Welcome to the Be Kind podcast with your host, Joe Kirkner, presented by the Animal Advocates of South Central Pennsylvania.
Welcome everybody to the Be Kind podcast, and we're part of the Animal Advocates mission to create a more compassionate world for all living creatures, whether on the winning kickball team or the losing kickball team or not playing kickball at all. All animals and people deserve to be loved, and we're here to make that a reality. And while I'm talking about that, because we just got done with an awesome picnic at a local park here in York, Pennsylvania, with some other like-minded vegans and animal lovers. And afterwards, we all came over, and Amy is now here to join us and talk a little bit about her vegan story and the things she's been up to. And we're also joined by, as usual, John.
Hello.
And Fernandos.
And Fernandos.
Fernandos.
We, my cat Victor has a new furry friend, and now it's a party. So, Amy, before we get started too much in depth with things, you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your vegan journey and what really gets you motivated.
I actually, you know what? I don't know how long I've been vegan, which is very weird. I know some people have a vegaversary. Is that what you call it?
It's pretty close. Veganversary.
Veganversary. Okay. I do not have a veganversary, just because I can't remember. So I've either been vegan for like 5 years or like 8 or 9.
Oh, okay. Somewhere in between there?
Somewhere in between, yes. I think it's probably closer to 8 or 9, but I'm really not certain. So part of the reason I don't know when my veganversary is because I went vegan very gradually. So at the time, and I don't really remember like what it was that made me decide to go vegan. You would think that would stick out in my mind, but I don't remember like seeing a documentary or, you know, like slaughterhouse footage or anything like that. So, but I do remember that I had a method to my madness because I specifically remember cutting out what I explained to people was like supposedly the most sentient animal and working my way back. So like, I think I cut out, you know, like mammals first, like, you know, cows and pigs and things. And then I think I cut out cheese at some point and then fish. And basically I just cut out one thing at a time until I was fully vegan.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it's sometimes just a gradual process for a lot of people. And how was that experience with people in your life as you're slowly transitioning to veganism? Did anyone ask any questions, or did you have to have any interesting conversations?
I don't, you know what? I have a horrible memory, so it's possible I did. I don't remember having a lot of conversations at the time. I was actually vegetarian for a bunch of years, and then the person I was living with was not vegetarian, and I ended up backsliding and eating meat for a while, which I must not have been too vegan for the animals if I backslid. I think the idea of eating meat just made me kind of like uncomfortable, and that's why I went vegetarian initially, but I didn't look too far into it. And so then after I backslid, then some point after that, that's when I started to take away one thing at a time. So
yeah, and we've actually had Dieter on before, and he was also vegan or vegetarian for a while, and then he went back to full-blown.
He had his ups and downs too. So yeah, it's a common thing. It really is. I know a few people that have done that.
Yeah, I kind of go by, I think I moved into my current apartment around 2012. I think I was vegan around that time, which that's 9 years. So maybe it is 9 years.
Hey,
I kind of think of my vegan birthday as like, I don't know for sure when Fernandos was born.
Okay.
I don't even know for sure when I was born. So we're kind of both timeless, me and Fernandos, and my veganism.
Okay.
So
I like that.
I like that too.
That makes it sound really epic.
yes. Yes.
And you've been involved with Animal Advocates really ever since the beginning. So activism seems like it's been a big part of your veganism. What kind of activism do you really feel attached to, or do you do in both during with Animal Advocates or any other times in your life?
Do you know what? John and I were just talking about this at the picnic, and I said the first time I found out about Animal Advocates was when, I don't even know how I found out about this event. It must have been like, I don't know, online or something, but probably on Facebook. I joined you guys for a Chalktivism event on Front Street in Harrisburg, and I was chalking alongside you guys. I met Adrian, And it was the first time I was ever aware that there were other vegans in the area besides myself. I thought I was alone on the deserted island, and then I ran into somebody else, and I'm like, oh my God.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So other kinds of activism, obviously we table a lot in the Animal Advocates. So I'm very used to tabling, as many of you know. And I also do random type things, like I'll leave PETA vegan, what's that? The vegan starter kit. I'll leave that.
Oh, yeah.
With, like if a friend has a business, I'll leave some, or I'll leave some when I go to like a doctor's office. I'll take some into my doctor, some leaflets, and he'll just like see me coming and roll his eyes. So I do a lot of random stuff like that. And I also recently got into, like, everybody knows about how you can do online outreach, like on Facebook and things like that. But I recently discovered an app called Clubhouse, which apparently social audio is like the next big thing. And I joined in February. I was invited by somebody. It used to be invitation only, but as of like 3 days ago now, like every Tom, Dick, and Harry can come in. But it used to be by very exclusive invitation only. And so I joined. I didn't know what it was, and I just started. You go into different rooms, and you go into a room based on the name. So there's a number of vegan rooms in there, and you just join, and it's cool. You get to sometimes bump into some celebrities. I go into a lot of rooms with Colleen Patrick Kudrow.
Cool.
Yeah.
And we chat, and if you want to say something, you hit the raise your hand button, and then if the moderators like you, they'll bring you up on stage, quote unquote. And when it's your turn to speak, you can just say whatever you want.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I even know somebody on there who's a vegan, who's in all the vegan rooms, Paige something or other. She will purposefully go into the non-vegan rooms. That's the cool part. She goes into, the Agriculture Community Alliance or whatever it's called. She goes in there frequently. I see her in there. I'm like, oh, girl, you are brave. And I see her hanging out in there, and they know her in there. They're like, oh, Paige, come on up.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know how she's gotten to be friends with them, but obviously none of them agree with her views, but they tolerate her, and they listen to what she has to say, because she's very like respectful, and So one cool thing is that you can write your own bio, which people can click on when they see you in a room. Like they'll click on your picture will get bigger, and then they'll read all the things under your name. And so I like to put something right at the top, because I don't assume people are going to read the whole thing. So I'll put, like, right now I think mine says, peace, love, vegan, peace begins on your plate. You can't love animals and eat them too. So, and the other thing is, it's really easy to change what's on your bio. So you can change it depending on what room you go into. So if I see a room that's like, Peace Lovers United, I'll for sure have that at the top of my, peace begins on your plate. And then I'll just enter the room with no intent to like say anything. But I know, especially if it's a small room, there's like 5 or 6 people, they're probably going to notice you, and they're going to click on your bio, and then they're going to read that.
Right.
So to me, that's sort of a form of activism, just to kind of make people think. But yeah, there's tons of stuff you can do on there. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I like those points. It's harkens back to a theme we see time and time again on the show, whereas one of the best ways to make vegans is have them hang out with other awesome vegans and just have them normalize the lifestyle and see there's people out there who are vegan, but also just good people, that you don't have to be a quote-unquote weirdo or militant or anything or extreme to be vegan. You can just be a normal person, hang out in a clubhouse, also vegan, and just putting that message out there in any way, shape, or form, almost in a less in-your-face way, sometimes can be more effective than throwing blood on somebody wearing a fur coat, which could also be effective too. I've never tried it, but I'm sure it really gets people noticed too.
Yep. I actually ran into a guy on there recently who's running for, California Senate, and he on a veganish type platform. And I was able to, the other thing is they just introduced direct messaging on Clubhouse, so you can actually directly message people. And at the time, they hadn't introduced that, so I Instagram messaged him, or whatever the kids call that. And and I told him about, Agricultural Fairness Alliance. I told him about DXE. I told him about a bunch of stuff, and he was like, wow. He's like, how do you know so much about all this stuff? And I was like, I really don't. I'm vegan, and I try and keep my ears open for something that sounds important. And so that was cool. I was able to tell him all this stuff, and it sounds like he's really, making a difference. So
I've heard of DXE before. I've never heard of Agricultural Fairness Alliance. Could you talk a little bit more about them?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I know the general, I know they're focused on, you put me on the spot, Joe. I'm going to get you later. Something about subsidies and trying to make them so that they don't go all toward animal ag and so that they're more fairly distributed, I think.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of similar moves where the way meat and animal products are accessible to the average consumer is thanks to these subsidies from the government that make the price point so low that it has the financial benefits for farmers to create these products, whereas if those didn't exist, they wouldn't be a feasible thing economically for consumers to have. And so I think they're trying to get to shift those subsidies over to fruits and vegetables rather than animals, so those can be more accessible and more the norm rather than paying $2 for a dozen eggs.
Right.
But now everyone here's been vegan so long that when I see like a special on animal's flesh at the restaurant, I'm thinking, I have no idea if that's a good price or not anymore.
Yeah.
But still makes me very concerned when I see a dozen eggs for 99 cents. I'm thinking there's no way that's economically feasible without some type of big government help coming down.
Yeah.
Then I've also heard that if the money goes, I don't know if this is true, but something like if the money goes towards the crop agriculture, like a lot of the crops are grown for livestock, so I'm not exactly sure how that works, but that's just my general understanding of what that movement is. So
Right.
Yeah, a lot of the subsidies and things for vegetables and grains go towards grains that are fed towards animals that are going to be used for animal agriculture. So
right.
I always describe it as building a bunch of bicycles, then breaking them down and using their parts to build a car. It seems very inefficient.
Right.
Whereas you could just ride the bicycle instead of having to break them and make the car. Why can't you just eat the plants instead of using the plants to feed an animal and then eat the animal?
It's cutting out the middleman.
Exactly.
Can you use bicycle parts to make a car?
I gotta work on the metaphor.
I feel like there's a better analogy out there somewhere. We get your idea.
So, if anyone has known you for any period of time, they know you have an amazing dog named Fernandos, and you are a fantastic dog. I'm trying to think, owner, I don't like that word.
Oh, no.
What's the term you use when you describe your relationship with your companion animal?
And I have to admit, I did use owner for a number of years, and I think it was Adrian that I heard her say, like, yeah, I don't really like that word. But now that I've made the switch, now anytime somebody says owner, I'm just like, what is wrong with you? Sounds like a horrible word, but I don't know. I guess guardians some people use.
That's a good one.
I like that one.
I like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, Fernandos, we were just... I think he might be eating the cat food again. Sorry.
Oh, no, he's actually just hanging out right here.
Okay. I adopted him. We were just talking about his fake/shelter birthday was yesterday. I adopted him when he was 2.5. The shelter guesses. And I know that I've had him for 7.5 years. So he is approximately 10 years old, give or take a year. So he is vegan as well, except for the occasional treat that the local pet supply store worker offers him. I hate to make them feel bad, but yeah, he is vegan. He is still quite spry for 10. He leaps like a gazelle all over my apartment when he's in the mood, like literally. Like his back feet come up and everything. He is a handful. He is sometimes quite a jerk, which no one ever sees that side of him but me, and that's okay. No one ever has to know.
He's like, why are you talking about me like that?
But other than that, he is very sweet when he's not being bad. So.
I love that he just gave you side eye when you said that.
Yes. So I started him out on vegan kibble, and there's a lot of different options out there as far as vegan kibble goes. But I've tried to kind of reduce his kibble intake over the years as I've learned that's probably not the best diet for him. So I was just talking to somebody at the picnic about this. He gets vegan Halo wet food, which he loves, every night as his SNACK. I can't say the word. He'll expect it. As is that, he gets a tiny handful of about 7 or 8 pieces of Wild Earth vegan kibble as his SNACK. And then a couple hours later, he'll get his actual meal, which is wet Halo, If you go to Compassion Circle, I believe it is .com, they offer a supplement for vegan dogs called VegaDog. And he also gets a mix of like grapeseed oil, a few drops of that, some apple cider vinegar, some chia and flaxseed blend, some nooch. And he also gets Flora4, which is sprouted seeds of all different kinds, which has like probiotics and things like that. And then I'll give him whatever vegetables I have cut up in the refrigerator and maybe like a piece of fruit for dessert. So
he eats better than most people. Wow.
Yeah, because dogs even eat like blueberries and stuff like that too. Like it's good for him. Yeah.
And he can be a little bit picky sometimes, but usually with the fruit. But when it comes to veggies, he eats most veggies if it's mixed in with the rest of his food.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Is he picky? Like, does he spit the food out? Like, he'll pick out one little thing that he spits out?
Oh, Lord, yes. Like, if I give him a piece of salad and he likes the dressing, he'll roll it around in his mouth, get the dressing off, and then spit the piece of lettuce out.
That's cute. Yeah, my dog Mullet, he will actually specifically look for peas and he will spit them out. I don't know how he finds them, but like there'll be a little pile of peas after like he's done eating. It's like, how did you find those?
Oh my gosh. That's totally Fernandos, isn't it? But for some reason, he is also a freak for bread. I can't explain it. Can be any kind of bread, bagel, pizza crust, straight bread. And I only give him like a really tiny pieces, but if there's bread, like he will never turn that down, basically. I have no idea why.
I know that feel.
Bread is very good. I can't fault him for that. So it seems like you got the vegan food down for Fernando. He seems incredibly healthy, and I have never seen a beagle that skinny and healthy looking. All the beagles I've ever seen are always really, really big and
true.
just super unhealthy. Can't go up and down stairs.
Oh, but it could be the dachshund in him too. They tend to be more slim, I think.
Yeah.
How has veganism really factored into the behavioral or caring for aspect of having a dog? I know some vegans kind of push back on the idea of pets or companion animals because lack of consent and sometimes even leaving them home alone a lot and things like that. But anyone who's ever seen you and Fernando interact can tell that this dog has a fantastic life. So how has really your veganism and all that factored into how you raise him from a behavioral perspective?
Well, thank you. I as a typical animal guardian, I do have a lot of, guilt from time to time, feeling like you're not doing enough. But he does. I'm actually pretty fortunate in that I mostly work from home, so I'm able to be there with him most of the time. And even when I do have to leave the house, most of the time I can schedule it so that he's not home alone for more than a few hours. So that is definitely an advantage. But I think it's on a case-by-case basis. I mean, yeah, probably some people that have dogs and are gone for 10 hours a day and leave the dog in the crate, maybe they shouldn't have a dog, but I don't know. I think it's definitely an individual basis.
Yeah, so I agree that a lot of times you have to really look at the alternative. If it's a rescue where the alternative is he'll be in a kennel or possibly put down, definitely I don't want to say any, but most circumstances would probably be better off giving the alternative. But if someone's, especially if they're adopting or getting a dog from a breeder, I don't see that as an ethical thing to do if you're just going to leave them home alone for hours and hours and hours on end and not care for them with the love and respect they deserve as feeling living creatures.
Yeah.
Right. And I really don't understand in this day and age why people still buy from breeders, but I don't know.
Agreed. It's just awful. And there's so many animals that need homes that need rescued.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fernandos has kind of become sort of like the animal advocates like mascot in a way, because he's always at events. If you're there, he's there, and he's kind of a superstar a little bit.
Yeah, he is. He's quite comfortable around a vegan table.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to, when I'm tabling at our different events, I specifically like to hold him sometimes as people are walking by, because a lot of people see that our table is vegan and they're like, oh, those weirdos. So I try and hold him up so that people are like, as a point of being relatable to us, that, we are animal lovers and we have a dog just like you have a dog at home, and you might want to stop by and talk to us. So yeah, I think of him as like a little vegan ambassador. So yeah, that's one really good reason I think to bring him along to tabling events, is that a lot of people will stop by just to pet him, and then at the last second they'll see the pamphlets on the table, and I will say, oh, which animal do you like the best? Never say, do you want a pamphlet? Just FYI, a little free tip. Just be like, which animal do you like the best? And then you give him the PETA comic that that they name. But yeah, he's definitely comes in handy in helping us reach people in the public.
Yeah, while we're talking about tabling, you're
Yes.
basically at every single Animal Advocates event, one of our clutch volunteers. So when someone's tabling or somebody thinking about coming out to an Animal Advocates event as a volunteer or just saying hi to us, what's kind of the experience like as a volunteer with the Animal Advocates when we're tabling at events?
What's the experience from our side of the table?
Yep. Let's just start with, I guess, volunteers, anyone thinking about joining us at anything.
Well, anybody that's interested, I think you should definitely come out, whether you have experience doing outreach or not, because it's super easy to get into. And as far as I know, it's fine to just, you don't even actually have to do anything the first time or two that you come. You can kind of just sit back, and we usually bring chairs along where you can sit down and observe what's going on. So there's really no downside if you want to help animals to coming out. It's even what we actually do is not that complicated, but it does help to be able to kind of see us in action and see what we do.
Back to him and your relationship, he is so attached to you. He will watch you, and it just shows how much that there's love going on there. There's a deep love there because, some people that have animals that they kind of just do whatever, but he will stay by your side, and that's great.
Yes, the separation anxiety is real.
Yeah.
No, I tell people at night sometimes I'll just sit in bed on my laptop, and I'll look to the side, and he'll just be sitting there. He will sit there for probably 15 to 20 minutes straight just staring at me, usually until I give him what he wants. I think I've inadvertently trained him that if he stares long enough at me that I will give him what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
You would think I would know better because I'm actually a behavior therapist for children, and I teach parents what not to do. But I've taught him to stare at me, yes, until he gets what he wants. So usually it's an after dinner TREAT is what he's waiting for.
Right.
So, yes.
So kids, if you're listening out there, just stare at your parents until you get what you want.
And tantrum. And if they're ignoring you, just keep tantruming until they give you what you want.
You're just trying to get some job security right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And those are really all the main questions we have. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Anything else that's been on your mind you'd like to share with our listeners?
Not really. I'm just really excited for us to get back to doing outreach events. I know we've had plenty of fun vegan events in terms of all the vegans hanging out and partying, but I really feel like it would not be, what we do would not be complete, obviously, without having a return to outreach events. So as far as I know, I think we're doing Dogs Day in the park this year.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing Lancaster Veg Fest, and I think there was one other one.
Lancaster Pride we just signed up for.
Oh, yeah. So I think there might be 4 things now.
Oh,
so.
Lancaster Pride. And what was the 4th one?
I can't remember off the top of my head now. But I think there is one more thing, too. So it's good.
Woofstock.
That's it.
I always get that confused with Dogs
Bingo.
Day.
Yeah, I know. They're kind of similar.
Yes.
But, yeah, so it's great. I agree. It's time to get back to hard work.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's really not hard work. It's just hanging out and, educating people. So,
Yes.
But, yeah, I agree. It's time to do that again.
Yep.
Yeah, and every kind of activism has its place, but none of them are complete without the other. So we need it all to really have a full picture and a full movement and make sure we're doing as much as possible for the animals. So
Absolutely.
fun events are fun. Activism is activism. Sometimes you got to build fences at farmed animal sanctuaries. Sometimes you have to do a podcast.
Oh, that's right. You asked me about activism. We recently did you guys did most of the work, but we did a volunteer day for Huckleberry Trails Animal Sanctuary in Shermansdale.
I think we got a couple others coming up. I think Jupiter's landing.
Yeah, there's that. And I think there's Peace with Us or something.
Here with us? No.
No, not Peace with Us. It's Peace. Something Peace, and I can't remember, and that's terrible because the person who owns it was one of my vegan challenger mentees, so I should probably remember.
Wait, did you make somebody go vegan and then open a animal sanctuary?
Yeah.
Yes,
You
all
must be-
John.
It kind of happened.
You must be a rock star mentor. I am impressed.
It just kind of happened. So that sanctuary that I was talking about is called Peaceful Follow, and they are in Hanover, I believe.
Well, I have one really hardball question. I know
Oh.
you enjoy your vegan food, and you are quite a foodie, but which is better, guacamole or hummus?
It's a tie. Is that a cop-out?
No.
I like them both.
I'm team hummus.
What's it?
I'm team hummus.
Are you? It's kind of like when people ask me what my favorite color is. I don't have a favorite color. I like them all equally.
I like that.
I like that.
But no, recently I decided to make an effort to go back to fasting, which I'm not doing my crazy fasting like I used to. I'm just doing like the regular intermittent fasting. But I've also tried to eat more whole foods because I tend to eat a lot of like vegan substitutes. So I'm trying, as John can attest, because I sent him all the pictures, to eat more whole foods. Oh, and I was talking about that because you asked me about hummus and guacamole, right?
Yes.
And by the way, the Superfoods protein bowl at the Veg Hunter is a really good thing to order if you're trying to eat whole foods.
I did see that. Did
Fun
look
tip.
really good.
Yeah. And we just ordered some last night, right, Fernandos? And we didn't even have to get out of the car because I paid for it over the phone and they brought it out to me, so...
Nice.
Well, if anyone listening wants to be a volunteer, be a part of any of these events, we're going to put a link to the organizers and volunteers group in the show notes. So just join that group and let us know you heard on the podcast.
On
and we'd be
Facebook.
more than happy to have you. This would be a Facebook group. Yes, not a Clubhouse group. We're not quite that cool yet.
Getting there.
Getting there. Someday. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. We got a lot going on. But maybe. So it'll be on a Facebook group. It's the organizers volunteers group. And that's where we have all the events, all the opportunities, people throwing out ideas. And sometimes people ask, what's vegan in Hanover? Or something like that, too, just to throw questions out there to another group of dedicated, like-minded people. But we're coming up on the end of the show. Amy, anything else you want to add? Any final words for our listeners?
I hope people who maybe aren't part of the animal advocates can look us up on Facebook and maybe figure out a way to get involved.
Yeah, if you want to meet Amy, get to know her a little bit better, show up to one of her events, and there's a very good chance she'll be there, and then you can hang out with all of us and get more involved with the vegan movement.
Oh, but if you see me on Facebook, I have a fake name on there. It's Elizabeth. So if you're looking for me, you might not find me as Amy. Just FYI.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, well, thank you both for helping out the show today, and thank you for listening and or watching. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening to the Be Kind podcast, presented by the Animal Advocates of South Central Pennsylvania.